Pools. Pools was designed and published by Tensori and released to the world on April 26, 2024. Pools isn't really a video game in the classic sense, in that you're not given a specific criteria to accomplish, nor are you given straightforward objectives. You are given an ultimate goal, but that much isn't obvious from the word go. Pools is described by its makers as an art gallery, or perhaps repressed memories. I certainly felt that while playing the game, but not in the sense that the pool was identical to one that I saw as a child. More of the feeling of playing with my cousins in said pool somewhere in Central California around 2000 or 2001. That said, let's take a closer look at this Pools. My name is Elliot. Pools is a game that, from start to finish, there's no dialogue, no inherent music, no ambient sounds of any kind other than what you make or things that actually exist within the world around you. Pools only makes the sounds associated with water, water features, or you manipulating water, or your footsteps. There are other beings in this world, but we'll talk about those later. Pools has some settings that I wouldn't really have even considered if I were making this specific game. For one example, you aren't looking through the eyes of a person in this first-person game. You're looking through the lens of a camera. Using a controller, when you press R2, you zoom the camera in. When you press L2, you zoom the camera out. This is complemented by an audible sound of the optical zoom. Pools, to the best of my knowledge, does use some kind of real-time ray tracing, but what kind of version exactly, I am not sure. Pools looks great, but can absolutely be toned down to match your system, if you need to. Pools also has the ability to disable water reaction and stay still indefinitely despite you walking through it. There are more options in this game, but the fact of the matter is that this game has a lot more settings than I would have thought just looking at the trailer. Plus, I've been playing indie games for a good long while now, and most of them won't even let you get rid of that horrific motion blur effect or irrational vignetting, both of which hurt my eyes. Pools, though, does not. Moving on, Pools sees you, the explorer, dropped into this strange place where there's basically nothing but white tiles and pools for as far as the eye can see. Eventually you'll come across other colored tiles and even wallpaper. You never set foot in the outside of the game, the entirety taking place indoors. Of course, the overwhelming size of this building leaves many questions festering in one's head. Questions like, who built this? Why would whoever built this have built it? What is the meaning of this place? Where is everyone else? And what if I actually am or am not alone here would all be questions that would reasonably be asked. Of course, this game offers you no answers, even at the end of the game. Calling Pool cryptic would be an understatement. Pools has 6 distinct chapters, all of which are far more than just the collective 6 parts to make a story. For instance, an area in Chapter 3 you revisit in Chapter 5, but on the other side of the pool. And whenever you die, the game simply rewinds time to before you made that mistake. Pools also has non-standard geometry, wherein you can walk along certain paths and your perspective remains the same. Unfortunately, this is used for more of a gimmick than actual gameplay or branching paths. Plus, I really don't like it all that much. One of the best features Pools has is the slides. If you see a slide, to the best of my knowledge, you can find the entrance and slide down just about any slide you can find, though there are several required to progress. However, just because you can go down a slide doesn't mean you should. A few slides in Pool make it so you cannot go back the way you came. Be sure you've explored the entire area to your satisfaction before moving on, or you'll have to restart the chapter. On that note, in Chapter 2, there's an achievement that's actually pretty cryptic called Art Connoisseur. To get this is to view all of these 5 orange rings which disappear after you look at them. After looking at all 5, something will drop out of this larger ring of 5 orange rings, and that's the reward. I won't spoil it here, but this is by far the most annoying achievement to get in the game, given that there's no context to what you're supposed to do. Hell, you're not even told that all 5 are in the second chapter. They are, but you're never told that by the game. Also, you have to drop down from one of these 2 things before you can view the reward, so you cannot go back to collect more. Now's a good time to mention that if you do plan on playing this game, you'll want to know that to restart a chapter isn't to leave and re-enter. Rather, you have to select Restart from the pause menu within the chapter. This game takes your time into account and remembers where you left off. which is pretty nice usually, and definitely something that I would love to see in many other games of this style. Pool's story, if you can even call it that, is the one of urban exploration, the act of filming abandoned or otherwise uninhabited places. Pools may have once been an amusement park dedicated to the indoors, being pools for kids and their parents alike, or perhaps it's in the mad mind of someone going completely overboard. Perhaps even the camera you film on is tarnishing what you're seeing. In any case, this is where you are and you will have to deal with it. Pools also has a couple areas that look astonishingly similar to the backrooms, implying that this may be a pocket of the backrooms, or the backrooms may be a pocket of the pools. Speculation aside, this is a peaceful, calming place for those who don't like crowds of 2 or more and don't mind pools of water. Isolation. As far as I can tell, Pools has no extra levels or concepts. You're stuck with just the 6 chapters here. But for me, that's more than enough. Pools is a horror-esque experience that I would recommend anyone that isn't too scared of things to try. There are no jump scares, but there are small things you might not pick up on if your attention is drawn elsewhere. Be careful, keep moving forward, and you will eventually reach the end. Also, this game has some fascination with stone mannequins for some reason. I'm not going to give their purpose away, mostly because I don't fully understand it myself, but also because if I gave my opinion, that would completely spoil the game. Although I will mention that these mannequins do some of the most bizarre things you could see a mannequin do, frozen in weird stances or doing things that just don't make any sense. Anyway, you aren't the first to saunter through pools and certainly won't be the last. Perhaps you're a sentient mannequin. Wouldn't be the first time I played the game with that particular premise. Pools is, after all, a game about the space between spaces, much like its father, Backrooms. Pools isn't meant to be understood, nor is it meant to be explained. It is what it is because it is. There's nothing more to it than that. That said, Pools gets a solid 7 out of 10. While nothing too exciting, it gets a bit disturbing before the end, but everything it sets out to do, it gets right. Graphics don't carry the game like some of these other ray-traced indie games, but the ultimate reason to play this game is exploration of a static environment, and ultimately that just gets boring, either after you explore it, or just after a while, whichever comes first. Games like this, without true random generation, have a severe limitation in that once you see something, you will have seen it no matter what else happens. This game could be so much more if more content can be added. What that would be, I do not know as of right now, but time will tell. Until then, I'm Dark Lord Elliot, and we're done here. It's raining now. How very odd.